послание Федеральному собранию – это...
In a dramatic turn of events, heightening global tensions, Russia's Ministry of Defense has revealed plans for military exercises involving the deployment of non-strategic nuclear weapons. At the helm of this directive is Supreme Commander-in-Chief Vladimir Putin, orchestrating drills that will encompass missile formations, aviation, and the Navy of the Southern Military District. These exercises will simulate the use of non-strategic nuclear weapons, aimed at ensuring the preparedness of combat units and equipment to defend Russia's territorial integrity and sovereignty in response to perceived provocations from Western officials. The decision follows President Putin's stern warning to the West in March, just ahead of the Russian elections, reiterating Russia's willingness to employ nuclear weapons if its sovereignty is jeopardized. Putin has been vocal about Russia's nuclear readiness since the onset of the conflict in Ukraine on February 24, 2022.
From a military technical point of view, we are prepared, of course. They, the troops, are constantly in a state of combat readiness. This is first. Second, this is also a generally accepted thing. Our nuclear triad is more modern than any other triad, and only we and the Americans have such a triad. We have made much more progress here. Ours is more modern, with all the nuclear components.
Asked whether he had contemplated using battlefield nuclear weapons in Ukraine, Putin stated that such measures had not been necessary. Putin also cautioned that Russia could reciprocate if the US conducts nuclear tests, amplifying the stakes in the nuclear proliferation arena.
This does not mean that we should compete by the number of carriers and warheads, but we need to be aware of this, and those who need it. I repeat, experts, specialists, military, they know this well. They are now setting the task of increasing the modernity, novelty, and they have corresponding plans. We know this too. They are developing all their components, and so are we. But this does not mean that, in my opinion, they are ready to start the nuclear war tomorrow. If they want to, what shall we do? We are ready.
Putin's remarks serve as a clear indication to the West of his unwavering commitment to safeguarding Russian interests. He underscored Moscow's readiness to resort to nuclear weapons if the integrity and independence of the Russian state are at stake.
Why do we need to use weapons of mass destruction? There has never been such a need. Journalist. So this thought never occurred to you? No? What for? Well, weapons exist to be used. We have our own principles. What do they mean? That we are ready to use weapons, including any weapons, including those you mentioned, if we are talking about the existence of the Russian state, about damaging our sovereignty and independence.
This isn't the first instance in 2024 of Putin issuing warnings regarding the use of nuclear weapons. During his State of the Nation address on February 29, 2024, Putin vowed to achieve Moscow's objectives in Ukraine and sternly cautioned the West against deeper involvement in the conflict, cautioning of the dire consequences, including the risk of a global nuclear conflagration. Putin's unequivocal message underscores his determination to prevail, signaling his readiness to escalate tensions with the West to safeguard Russian gains in Ukraine. Highlighting the full readiness of Russia's nuclear forces, Putin mentioned the deployment of advanced weaponry, some of which has been tested in the Ukrainian theater.
While we did not initiate hostilities in Donbass, we are committed to ending them, eradicating massism, fulfilling all objectives of the special military operation, and protecting the sovereignty and security of our citizens. Our strategic nuclear forces stand ready for guaranteed deployment.
Putin also referenced the inclusion of new weapons like the Sarmat heavy intercontinental ballistic missile, now in service, alongside the Burevestnik atomic-powered cruise missile and the Poseidon atomic-powered nuclear-armed drone, nearing the completion of their testing phases.